What if I told you the downfall of an entire polygamous family didn't happen overnight? It was quietly orchestrated from the inside, not by a scandal on the outside, not by the legal system, not even by TLC's cameras, but by a single woman slowly shifting the power dynamic until the foundation cracked. One wife came into an already fragile household, and by the time the dust settled, she was the only one left standing with the husband, while the rest of the family, nearly 2 decades of unity, lay in pieces. Hey friends, welcome back to TLC's Sister Wives Secret. I'm Oliva, and if you're as shocked, frustrated, and fascinated by this family's unraveling as I am, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Robyn knew exactly what she was doing from day one? Because today, we're not just going to talk about drama. We're going to walk through how it happened, the way it played out on national TV in real time. Cody Brown was once a proud husband to 4 women, a father to 18 children, and a man who swore that love should be equal across all his wives. But the moment Robyn entered the picture, things started shifting. Not dramatically at first. No, it was subtle, quiet, almost invisible if you weren't paying close attention. And that's what made it so dangerous. One compliment here, one tear there, one whispered narrative that began to grow. Suddenly, it wasn't just favoritism, it became control. Emotional, financial, even physical distance started taking shape. And the others? They were left fighting for scraps of love in a house that was no longer theirs. Now, let's talk about the house. Not just any house. The house. Cody's massive, over-the-top dream mansion in Flagstaff. The one that was supposed to unite the entire family under one roof. A symbol of polygamist unity, strength, and shared love. Instead, it ended up exposing every crack in the foundation and made it painfully clear who really called the shots. Cody was practically giddy about his blueprint. He drew it himself, remember? One big home split into 4 sections, one for each wife, all tied together with shared family space in the center. But when he presented the plans on the show, it wasn't met with excitement. It was met with silence. And then came Robyn. Now here's where things start to feel off. Robyn had the largest part of the house by far, more square footage than any of the other wives. She got the prime location, and yet, the first thing she did was complain. It was too white. It wasn't big enough. The design didn't fit her needs. And this wasn't a house that had even been built yet, just a mock-up. But still, her tone wasn't gratitude. It was entitlement. You could see the shift in that moment. Cody wasn't hearing from an equal partner. He was hearing from his top priority. Instead of asking what the other wives needed, more rooms for grown kids, guest space, communal areas, it was suddenly all about Robyn's comfort, her vision, her floors, her space. And when she spoke, Cody listened. You could watch the other wives fade into the background during that scene. Janelle, who's always practical, was visibly frustrated. Christine looked tired. And Meri? She stayed quiet, as if she knew there wasn't a point in pushing back anymore. The house became a metaphor. Robyn's portion wasn't just physically larger. Her influence was bigger too. Her wants took precedence over logic, over fairness, over family. Cody designed that house with 4 staircases, one for each wife. But why? The kids didn't need it. The wives weren't even on speaking terms anymore. It wasn't about unity. It was about keeping the others separated while Robyn stayed front and center. And that's when you realize this wasn't about building a home. It was about building a kingdom with one queen in mind. What we started to see next wasn't just favoritism between spouses. It started seeping into the kids. And honestly, this is where things get really hard to watch, because it's one thing for adult relationships to fall apart. But when the children start becoming collateral damage in a quiet war for control, that hits different. Let's talk about Robyn's daughters, especially Aurora and Brianna. Early on, these girls were warm, shy, and seemed to want to connect with the larger family. But as the seasons went on, something changed. They became withdrawn, almost guarded. And in the later seasons, especially when Christine was moving, their energy was undeniable. Cold, no hugs, no kind words, just blank stares and arms crossed as their siblings said goodbye. That wasn't just teenage awkwardness. That looked like resentment, and it wasn't just Christine they shut out. There was a heartbreaking moment shared by Janelle about Savannah, who went to school with one of Robyn's daughters. She mentioned that despite being in the same building, Robyn's daughter never even spoke to Savannah. Not once. Now imagine being a teenager, already navigating the complexities of a plural family, and being iced out by someone you consider your sister. It's painful to think about, but it speaks volumes about the kind of environment Robyn was cultivating behind closed doors. Because while the rest of the Brown kids were used to shared birthdays, messy sleepovers, and group family dinners, Robyn's home started to feel like a fortress. Separate, quiet, off limits. The pandemic made it even worse. Cody moved into Robyn's house, full time. And while he claimed it was for safety and protocol, it didn't go unnoticed that he was still actively seeing Robyn's kids, while his other children were left wondering where their dad went. There was one episode that showed Aurora in tears after not seeing Cody for 10 days. 10. Meanwhile, some of his other kids hadn't heard from him in months. That kind of double standard is more than just painful. It creates a deep, lasting sense of rejection. And if Robyn's children are hearing that the other wives are dangerous, selfish, or don't care about them, even subtly, it shapes their entire view of their extended family. Whether intentional or not, it's clear something was being said in that house. Because those girls weren't acting like they had 17 siblings. They were acting like they had something to prove, or something to protect. When Robyn first entered the Brown family, she came in wearing the mask of the perfect addition, soft-spoken, emotional, grateful, and eager to fit in. She cried often, talked about how blessed she felt, and made a point to say how much she respected the principle of plural marriage. And for a while, the family and fans wanted to believe her. She was new, young, and had been through a tough past. Cody swooped in, and it felt like he was rescuing her. That's how it was framed. That's how it was sold. But looking back now, it's hard not to see just how quickly Robyn's position shifted from newcomer to quiet ruler. Let's start with the legal bombshell. Meri, Cody's first wife and the only one legally married to him, agreed to divorce Cody so that he could legally marry Robyn. The reason given was for adoption purposes, so that Cody could officially become a father to Robyn's kids from her previous marriage. On paper, it was a noble move, a mother putting the kids first. But emotionally, it was devastating. You could see it on Meri's face during that lawyer's meeting. She was crushed. But Robyn, again, was the one crying the hardest. And in that moment, it became clear that she was more than just another wife. She was now the legal one. That meant financial protection, medical decisions, power. From there, the shift was subtle but constant. Suddenly, Robyn was heavily involved in the family's financial choices. She launched a boutique business and somehow ended up in a COO-type role that positioned her at the center of money decisions. Meanwhile, Janelle, who had handled the family's budgeting for years, was pushed out of that role. Christine, who had been the heart of the home, was slowly isolated from group decisions. And Meri? She was left clinging to a friendship with Robyn that, truthfully, never felt mutual. Robyn's rise wasn't loud. It was quiet, strategic, masked by emotional appeals and framed by Cody's constant need to defend her. She played the role of victim so well that even when she was winning, it didn't feel like she was. She constantly talked about being left out, about feeling excluded, about how hard it was to be accepted by the other wives. But in reality, she was gaining more influence with each season. When she spoke, Cody listened. When she cried, Cody changed his plans. And when she disagreed, the entire family dynamic shifted to accommodate her. Over time, Robyn became the only wife who still had access to Cody emotionally, physically, and legally. The others had to schedule time, make requests, fight for their space. But Robyn? She had a husband who lived in her house full-time, defended her at every turn, and stopped showing up for the others entirely. And through it all, she never stopped positioning herself as the one who just wanted peace, who just wanted unity. But unity isn't built on silence and submission. It's built on fairness and truth. And truthfully, Robyn wasn't the outsider anymore. She was at the center, holding all the keys. What really stands out when watching Robyn with her children is this heavy sense of emotional control that seems to hang over everything. It's not just about the usual parenting ups and downs. It's the way her interactions create an environment where her kids appear dependent on her emotionally, almost as if stepping out of line means risking her approval or love. Throughout the show, you can see moments where Robyn uses guilt or tears to keep her daughters close, often framing herself as the only one who truly understands or supports them. It's that classic pattern of emotional manipulation, making her kids feel like they owe her their loyalty in silence, as if questioning her could fracture the fragile family peace she's built. This isn't just about wanting to protect her children. It feels much more like a way to keep control. As a result, her daughters often seem cautious, guarded, even cold when interacting with their half-siblings from the other wives. Remember the times when her girls outright refused to engage with Christine's daughter Savannah? Or when they barely spoke to their other siblings on camera? That's not just sibling rivalry. It's a clear sign of the emotional walls being built around them. Those walls create division, isolation, and a sense that stepping outside their mother's influence is unsafe. Even more troubling is how this environment stunts their social lives. Unlike many teens, Robyn's daughters rarely appear at normal teenage events or gatherings. They don't have the casual, carefree friendships you'd expect for young people growing up. Instead, their social circles feel tightly controlled and limited, almost like their world is confined by fear. Fear of disappointing their mom, fear of breaking the family's fragile balance, fear of losing the emotional safety net that Robyn carefully maintains. This kind of parenting echoes patterns seen in toxic family systems where control is disguised as love, and dependency is cultivated through emotional pressure rather than genuine connection. It's heartbreaking to watch because it leaves these young women trapped in a cycle where loyalty comes at the cost of their own freedom and happiness. The very people who should be helping them grow independent and confident are instead holding the reins tight. And it's clear that this emotional control is one of the biggest reasons the family's relationships are so fractured today. If you watch closely, it's impossible to ignore Cody's role in the family's unraveling. Sure, Robyn's actions are front and center, but Cody's quiet complicity is just as crucial. He's the one who gave her the space to take control, often at the expense of the other wives and their children. This wasn't a solo mission on Robyn's part. Cody's favoritism made it possible. Think back to the moments when Christine finally left. It wasn't a sudden decision. It was the result of years of feeling overlooked, unheard, and sidelined. Episodes showed her trying to stand her ground, asking for fairness, only to be met with cold shoulders and indifference. Meanwhile, Robyn's family unit seemed to grow stronger, more isolated, with Cody supporting her every step. Christine's exit wasn't just a loss. It was a clear signal that the family was fracturing beyond repair. Then there's Janelle, who resisted the growing imbalance longer than most. We saw her questioning Cody, even calling out the favoritism. But when push came to shove, even Janelle's resistance couldn't stop the momentum. The dynamic had shifted too far. Robyn's growing influence wasn't just tolerated, it was enabled. The other wives, once a united front, started drifting apart. Meri's situation adds another layer. After her legal divorce to allow Cody to marry Robyn, she found herself more isolated than ever. Instead of being a partner, she became more like a bystander, watching the family change around her. The mansion drama, the uneven attention, and the emotional distance all added to her feeling pushed to the sidelines. It's clear from the episodes that this family collapse wasn't accidental. It was a slow, deliberate process. Robyn led the way with her strategic moves and emotional manipulation, but Cody handed her the keys to the kingdom. Without his blind favoritism, this level of control wouldn't have been possible. He had the power to stop it, but chose not to. So here's the real question for all of us watching. Was Robyn always the villain, orchestrating this from the start? Or did Cody, through his actions and choices, create the environment that allowed her to rise and divide the family? Maybe it's a bit of both. But whatever the answer, the damage is real, and the consequences are clear. Let me know what you think. Do you see Cody as the silent enabler, or Robyn as the mastermind? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more honest sister wives secrets. This story isn't over yet, and we're just getting started. In the end, what this family lost wasn't just time, or a home, or even a television show. It was trust, unity, and something that once felt unbreakable. You can't patch over that kind of emotional damage with apologies or holidays. The wounds are deep, and for some, the healing may never come. When love gets tangled up in control,